Save a big balloon from your next party for this cool home decor DIY. To start this project, I've blown up the balloon and I need to get my paste and paper ready. Paper mache paste is really easy to make. It's just flour and water. For the paper, I'm using some flyers that I don't need and I want to rip them into different size pieces. I don't want to make them too big or they'll be too hard to smooth out, but I do want them to be big enough to cover a nice area of the balloon. I'm going to put some of the paste onto the balloon first and then lay on a piece of the newsprint over top. To smooth out the paper, I want to cover it with another layer of the paste and just use my fingers to smooth it out. I'm going to keep doing this as I work my way around and over the entire balloon. I have made sure though to leave the top of the balloon uncovered so that I can make an opening to my vase later on. While the paste is drying, I want to make the neck of the vase. I'm going to use these clear plastic sheets that I have, and I've gone ahead and taped two together. I'm going to fold up the sheet about 2 inches and create a really thick crease. Then I want to make little cuts up to the crease about 1 inch or less apart. These are going to allow me to stick it to the balloon in a nice circle shape. Next, I want to trim off the excess on the top and then make the same little cuts from the top down to the crease. To cover the clear collar and make it part of the paper mache, I'm going to start covering it with the paste and paper until I've gone over the entire collar. I've also used a little bit of packing tape just to hold it in place while I'm doing this. Before I begin covering the top part of the collar, I want to use some packing tape again just to shape the top of the vase. I can keep playing with the top until I get a shape I like, and then I can start covering it with the paper and paste. I'm going to add a second full coat of the paper and paste to the entire balloon as well, and then I'm going to let it all dry overnight again. Now that the paper mache part is done, I want to cover it all with some thick jute twine. I'm going to start at the crease between the base and the neck of the vase and work my way down. I'm using hot glue to keep the twine in place as I wrap the twine around the balloon. With the base of the balloon covered, I want to remove the balloon now and start on the neck. I want to trim off all the excess paper from the opening now at the top. This will give it a nice clean opening. To cover up the paper mache at the top, I want to use the same twine and wrap it all around the top lip and then go right inside. I'm so glad I saved this balloon to use to create this beautiful vase. I love the natural look of the twine and the twigs together. I hope this has inspired you to make your own paper mache vase as well.
Start to paint your pots and saucers with a matte finish paint or chalk paint. Take a paper napkin and separate the 2-ply layers. Draw a circle and cut it out with scissors. Take the saucer and brush the decoupage glue so the bottom and sides of the saucer are covered. Place the paper napkin circle and press down in the center and smooth the napkin out. Dip a small paintbrush in water and brush along the top of the saucer. Add a final layer of decoupage glue. Take a strong adhesive glue and place a ring of glue. Place the saucer on top of the bottom of the pot. You now have a beautiful clay pot candle holder.
First, we're going to spray paint. I'm using Rust-Oleum Satin Heirloom White and Rust-Oleum Stone. We're going to take some painter's tape. You kind of want to rough tear one edge of it. We're gonna put this along the bottom. I'm using a craft paint and I'm just using brushed gold. You kind of want to make it look like the paint is kind of tearing and you can see underneath it. All right, so here's the finished product and I absolutely love how they turned out.
I have a cylinder vase from the Dollar Tree, this epoxy pen holder on Amazon, and I'm gonna basically just trace. All right, so now that I have hollowed out the center, I want to make sure that the paint doesn't necessarily sink in to the foam. So to create a barrier and something that'll dry relatively quickly, Mod Podge or like Elmer's glue, we're going to use a Dixie Belle paint. These 2 foam boosters really have transformed into chic and modern decor.
The first step is just to make sure this is really clean. To start with, I want to use some gold leaf adhesive. I am just going to let this sit for about 20 minutes. Now we're going to get out the gold leaf sheets. Now you want to use a tweezer and a dry paintbrush with this. As I'm going along, I'm going to use the paintbrush and it's going to pull away any of the excess. And then we're ready to move on to the next step. Now we're going to add some paint, but we're going to paint the inside of this vase. And it has the look of a white ceramic vase with a beautiful antiqued kind of rustic gold finish at the top.
I sourced a couple things from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to be using the Rust-Oleum milk paint. We are going to add our hot glue, put it into the corner. So we're going to do this in all 4 corners. So once that kind of sets, we're going to flip it over and do the other side. We are going to be taking our smaller pieces and we're going to be creating an X shape. And then I'm going to come in with my hot glue gun. We are going to glue these together, painting it the same color as we did the other pieces. We are going to hot glue. All right, so we're going to let this dry here for a moment. And that's where this comes into place. Just need this piece. We're going to clip off this piece. We're going to paint it. So now that this is all glued and dried, I'm going to take a little bit of hot glue and I'm going to put it in the hole. Now that we've attached the tumbling tower pieces, so I can go over the edges. And here's the finished product of my chic distressed farmhouse lantern. I really love how it came together.
I took this fleecy fabric softener plastic container and then using an X-Acto knife, I just cut off the top portion. Next, I'm going to take some craft paper. I'm scrunching it up to create like a really rough texture and then I'm going to tape it on where I need tape to hold in place and just cut out my handle and then wrapping that again in masking tape. When I'm done with this, I'm going to create my paper mache, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip the envelopes up into tiny little pieces. Then I'm going to add just a little bit of water before I turn on my blender. So I lay out the Mod Podge and then I just grab a handful of the slurry and I just spread it around onto my plastic container. I let it set for a full day and this is my finished vase here.
The next time you are at a thrift store, pick up some inexpensive wicker baskets. Dip the paintbrush in the paint and then pounce. Take the brush and lightly brush the paint onto the basket in the main direction of the basket weave. This basket finish looks fantastic, styled with flowers or green plants. Take a wicker basket with a very light finish. Spray paint the basket in light layers with an oil-rubbed bronze color. Let the basket dry completely. Paint in light layers. You will notice that the paint dries very fast between layers because there is actually very little paint used. I hope this inspired you to give inexpensive wicker baskets an updated look with paint.